up, guys? It's young Breezy bringing us a brand new episode of the Impact series. For anybody who does not know what the Impact series is, it's where I feature a Yugituber here on my channel, and they talk about how they came into the game and how it's impacted their lives. And for today's episode, I have no other than YGO Bros. How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. Thanks for having me, Vincent. Ready to talk about some Yu-Gi-Oh.
You're welcome. You're welcome. For anybody, before we get into the questions, if you guys have not seen the previous episode or episodes, I recommend you guys go check those out as well. I do have a playlist to the recent ones as well as the past episode with Master Swag King, so check that out. So, with the first question I want to get into is, how did you get into the game of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Well, I think the first thing was even before the anime was the game Forbidden Memories. A lot of people might be familiar with it. I've talked about it in the past, but it's basically it has like a lot of memories for me. Ironically, because I just started playing it before I knew any English. For those of you who are not familiar, I'm not. I mean, if the heavy accent does not give it away, I wasn't born and raised in United States, which is where I live right now. I was born and raised in Colombia, so over there we still got to see most things, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and everything. But like the first thing that I saw in Yu-Gi-Oh was that game. It was being played at this like game store slash kind of game place to go, because my dad didn't want me to actually buy a PlayStation. He thought I was gonna get addicted for life. So so on the weekends I'll go there and play different games, and you actually get to see people play different games. So that's when I played, Mario 64 for the first time, and that was when I played these different games, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Forbidden Memories was one of them. And then afterwards, I started watching the anime, and then that also got me hooked into it, which was pretty much about around the same time. But I wanted to say I was about 7 years old or so, 6, 7, maybe. Well, I'm 24 right now, and the game came out like in the 99, right? 2000.
Yeah, and I think it got more, and then it got more popular. I think with the card game around 2000, a little over. Obviously, when GOAT format more became a thing and everything.
Okay, so yeah, I think that makes sense in my storyline, because I remember when it got in the anime, got into it in the games that came after it was released in Japan. And then I had that phase for a while. For some reason, I played that game of Forbidden Memories for a very, very long time. There was something about strategy, like having that got me hooked. I mean, a lot of the reason why we play this game is like the freedom to be able to build whatever you want. You're not crippled like many other games to have like a limited range of possibilities here. Although it does seem to us right now that the format is very limited, it truly isn't if you really want to explore what you can do, considering all the carpool of options. So that is one of the things that got me engaged, although it was really limited in the game itself. It was interesting because I didn't know English back then, so I played all these games based on like motion and like, I mean, I guess if you recognize the patterns, like the attributes, the stats, you don't need much understanding of English as long as you understand the game mechanics. It turns into understanding the effects if you actually had to, read effects and complicated chains and whatnot. But I came back into the game around when I was 9 or 11, and at that point I was still in Colombia, South America, and I was living in the countryside, so I wasn't really in and I was really in an area where I could afford to buy the original official packs, and we got counterfeits. So it was like fake official Yu-Gi-Oh cards.
Like the ones where like the stickered ones or whatever. Well, we thought they were real until we saw the real cards, and we're like, oh shit, these are real.
But like, I mean, they were real for the most part. You know what I mean? They were fake in essence, but like you could still play. You just don't be. You know what I mean? Like there's two different kinds of fake cards. So the fake cards that were purposely released so people like myself and many kids in my area in this this is a different country, they stand by different rules. We were able to play, and we were not playing in any tournament. We were playing in for fun in the street, you know, in basketball court, when on sleep cards. So like it didn't really matter whether they were official or not. The fact is that we could afford them, go buy them at the store. It was we still had that feeling of like pulling a good card, pulling Blue Eyes White Dragon. It was always still reflected, but you know, I guess you could say we felt inferior, like oh, like you know, this is why it's important because I have this perspective that a lot of people here in the United States might have for granted. Like people in other countries that might not have the chance to go to regionals or like have the original, you know, product or be able to afford it even. You know, it means a lot when you're able to have it because I remember like back then it was like a big deal like oh you know in America like a real card you know like because my friend used to collect them my cousin and that's when I was starting into the game a little more like, I remember that was when the Red Eyes Darkness Dragon was the it was in the structure or starter deck and I was like damn that was the first time I saw an English card and I was like this is so badass and that was back when I was like I said 9 or 11 years old playing with the counterfeit cards in the street. But like you know, it was a fun experience, and that's when I made a connection with the two oldest cards that I had in my wallet for like 5 years. It was Limited Removal and the Eye of Truth.
Damn. That's man. I haven't seen those cards or even played them, and shit, forever.
I know it's interesting what this game can do to you know to like all the connection and the memories back there. But for a while, basically, I'm skipping all this, like all the stuff of my life. I'm just going through the Yu-Gi-Oh phases. Afterwards, I stood out of the game for a while because I was moving from places. I wasn't living in the countryside anymore. I had the opportunity to come to the United States because my dad found a job here. So I was able to come here in 2006 as a companion, and then eventually I qualified to be. I qualified. I qualified to be like a citizen. Like after you know 10 years, I'm a citizen right now. But it was all a process.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I eventually picked up Yu-Gi-Oh! Not right away. I had a face. I had a Pokemon face basically. I mean, I'm not gonna speak too much detail into it, but eventually we all have these faces, and then I started getting back into Yu-Gi-Oh! By watching the anime on Netflix. And I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then, I remember I went back to Miami because I lived in Miami for 7 years. Right now I'm in Kansas City, Missouri, and I was with my friend, and then we saw these things at Toys R Us that like no way they still have Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Like I thought it was, I mean, we didn't really think it was like a thing that people still played and like officially in stores in tournaments, but you know we picked it up. I think he picked up the Six Samurais, and I picked up a structure deck and a starter deck of Kaiba. You know the Blue Eyes. Yeah. So we thought it was so OP, like oh a structure and a starter deck, like an unbeatable deck. So you know it was a really fun phase. You know I wasn't really competitive right from the beginning. So like a lot of the game grew to me because of the essence of like being able to interact and come up with interesting texts. Fair in mind, I had to do a lot of learning with the rulings. You know, like back then, my friends and I thought that MST negated and all that stuff, and all that jazz.
And now it's become a meme.
Yeah. Now it's a meme. But it's like those little experiences, man. Those little experiences that really keep you in the game because, I mean, I don't think we're gonna like. It's like, oh yeah, we play the game because of Zodiacs. You know, it's not like, oh yeah, we play the game because of Konami. No, it's really because of the game and the memories that is embedded into us, I think.
Yeah. So we're gonna lead that into going into the next question is how has this game impacted your life, whether it's from becoming a Yugituber or just playing this game in general, like when you were leading up into actually playing the game and learning the mechanics and everything? Like, were there people you've met that are, you know, so far have impacted you, or the game has impacted you and showed you many things you may not have thought it would?
So Okay, there were several questions there, so let me try to answer them. Yeah, I mean, but for the most part, the games just impacted me in the biggest way possible in terms of my hobby and one of my passions in terms of like making this way more than a hobby, being part of a community, something greater than myself that I'm able to enjoy and share with other people. Whether like I'm entertaining them, but at the same time I'm being entertained by them, and we're also making each other better players in the end of the day, to an extent, you know, depending on how you look at it, because of course there's many parts of this community. It's almost a little overwhelming, but at the end of the day, I think it's worthwhile understanding that uh, the the way that this game has changed me has been in for the most part in really positive ways in terms of like giving me an outlet on which I can be creative within a set standard of something that I enjoy. I can like challenge myself, and uh, and a friend that I actually got into the game a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. He got into the game from scratch, and because of him, I was probably I was able to go to locals every weekend, because I don't have a car, so like the only way to go to the closest locals to me is 25 minutes away from here. So the only visible way for me to go, no, I mean every week or every other week, it was to go with him. But I never expected that to happen. You know, just open to teach somebody this game that you love and then keep at it, and it just rewards you in unexpected ways somehow. You know, like because of that, I was able to go to locals for over a year and a half and have experienced that, and go to regionals for the first time, which is that happened for the first time last year. And then I've been yugituing for about a year, but I mean, I guess I'm throwing a lot of stuff out there, but this is just overall big parts of how that's affected me. You know, I got a permit to the game that allowed me to go to locals every week, and that has been going on for 2 years. So it's changed me a lot. It's the biggest hobby that I have. You know, so a lot of the time when I'm not yugituing, I'm playing the game. So distracts me a lot from enriching the channel. So it's like a constant debate right now. So that's where I am right now, being a player and a yugituber and an artist on the other side. But I'm trying to bring that together somehow. But at the same time, understanding the hobby part and the part where you actually gotta make a living because I'm also a student. But I mean, soon to graduate, mind you. But still, Yu-Gi-Oh it's a big part of our life, but not necessarily. It shouldn't be a big priority when it comes down to our time. But the fact that it allows you to take breaks, is not something that you're like like you're not tied to it. You're tied to it as much as you want to be. It's okay to take breaks. It's okay to not be meta. It's okay to just watch videos or interact with the community, or watch the anime or collect or do pack openings. So I like that about Yu-Gi-Oh, that it's open like that, and it allows you to connect with people in different ways that other games don't.
Yeah, one thing that I do like, before we end up ending it, is that Yu-Gi-Oh, like, I want to say unlike other communities, but we all can, like, as a hobby, we can all relate to certain things, bounce ideas off of each other. You can go to a regional, and it could be a random person, either a person you face or you walk around, whatever. And who knows? They could literally be the next. You two could become friends, and like it just happens. And I'm glad that even with this community, or even as playing it as a hobby, that we have a community to where we can share and relate, and you know, uh, do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's pretty amazing. And although there's a lot of talk about negativity, that I mean, people have to understand that comes with every community, and it's just what you do with it. Just look at politics. Just look at everything else. just what you make of it. And then I think what's good about this series is that a lot of people kind of take for granted this game, sometimes for like the negative. But when you see people where they come from and what keeps them in the game, it's kind of a good reminder of like, well, at the end of the game, at the end of the day, the game has done a lot for us, more than the negative, of course. Or at least that's the ideal. That's the ideal, I think.
Yeah. So with that being said, I hope you guys did enjoy YGO Bros' story for the Impact series. If you guys don't know who YGO Bros is, I'll link his channel down in the description so you guys can go check out his channel. He recently did a video, I believe, weren't you dueling with the Cyber Dragon Galaxy, like, side-frame deck? I think that's all was together.
Yeah, that deck actually just got updated. Is a deck mess. It's like a mush of everything right now that I've been wanting to do counter the meta with Cyber Dragon, Cyframes Galaxy, and most of the deck is synchro because it's meant to be link ready.
Yeah.
So it's just it's just like an experiment. They just call it they just call it that. So if you guys want to see some interesting deck profiles, you're welcome to check it out. Cyber Dragons is a deck that I've been doing for a long time, so you can expect it to be seen in the channel. And I mean, I'm not trying to make this a big promotion.
No, you're good. That's usually at the end of the video. Everybody's time to shine. If they have anything that we could either expect near in the future for your channel, or just really put yourself out there.
Okay, what you can expect is, besides deck profiles and Cyber Dragons, that's kind of like the intro. That's one of the things that everybody's known for, a little one or two things, like, oh, he runs that deck or he does that skit videos. So a lot of people know that I'm a Cyber Dragon player by heart, and a lot of them also know that I'm an artist. So one of the things I want to do is start doing art for the community, in order to expand, like everything, in order to like be at the place where we want to be. This is going to help exposure overall for everybody.
Yep.
And at the same time getting my portfolio ready. So since this is part of the community, I just wanted to throw that out there. If anybody is small channels or big channels alike, I'm going to start, it's already on the works, but it's one of the things I've been wanting to work. I don't see a lot of the community. If you guys remember Yugioh, he did a lot of like amazing animation videos. I'm not that skilled in animation. Mine is more kind of like static JPEGs for now. But it's a learning process, so you guys are welcome to hit me up for that. And once again, thank you for having me in the Impact series. I hope I made some impact into your day with these stories. And go Yugioh.
Yep. Again, if you guys did enjoy his story, hit that like button as well as check out his channel. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And hit the notification bell so you guys can see when the next Impact Series episode comes up. As always, it's your boy Young Breezy and YGO Bros. We're out. Deuces.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.